Hi, my name is Don and Spence.
And I'm Leigh. We've been married for 10 years and we have two beautiful children, Caleb and Peyton.
I was in addiction for 22 years, never knew I was an addict until much later in life. And I just got to the point where my life was unmanageable. Didn't know how to stop. And then Leigh spoke to a couple in the church who suggested I fill in a care form. I filled the form in, had a meeting. Then I met Jacques and Louise, who were in a program for recovery. And I started going reluctantly, kicking and screaming. But if I didn't, my marriage, my family would be pretty much over.
Being the wife of someone who has addiction issues, you get into a vicious cycle. So constantly fighting and seeing that there's a problem but not really knowing how to help them. So you kind of just bury your head in the sand. Well, I did anyway. And eventually you get to a point where you realize you've got two little people dependent on you and things have to change. So you take that final step and you speak to people, which is actually quite a hard step, but you speak to people and they guide you, and that's exactly what happened and how we ended up in the recovery process together. So yeah.
Leigh and I, when we used to sort of have arguments, I blamed everything on God. He made me an addict. I didn't have a choice. And that was just round and round, like going through the wilderness, round and round, with no breakthrough. My heart wasn't for recovery. My heart wasn't to stop using. I did it initially to save my marriage and not to have to go to a treatment center and not have to deal with the consequences of my actions. So yeah, it's long, it's hard, there's no way around it, there's no shortcuts in addiction. But there's freedom. Freedom like I never experienced before, breakthrough that I've never experienced before. It's been a long journey, and even being a Christian for 10 years, I still didn't know how to overcome. When you are faithful, or even I was faithless at the time, but he knew my heart was really to try and stop.
So as a supporter to my husband, you obviously go and you have a bit of counselling and you realise that there's a lot of brokenness inside that you've carried over the years of disappointments and going through the same cycles over and over, being let down because expecting them to change without anyone but God is, I wouldn't say impossible, but it's pretty hard. So yeah, there was a few things that were pointed out to me, and even things that I was doing that was allowing this process to continue, not sort of drawing a line in the sand and saying that's it, that's an enabling process and it had to stop. Because of it, we've grown closer, and there's restoration for myself for a lot of the hurt that I dealt with.
Thinking of Jesus is my rock, is my redeemer. Scriptures that I've come across, he's everything that I'm not, and he says that that's okay, because there's only one perfect being, and that is him. But the freedom that comes from knowing him, not just a head knowledge or a religious base, but actually encountering the love of Jesus, the freedom that comes with that, the joy that comes with that, and not by striving.
Jesus never changes. He's always there, and sometimes you can only appreciate it when you've gone through something really tough and you look back and you think, I had no idea how, but somehow he got me through. We once were broken, but now we're whole.